Good evening. Good evening, Democrats. Good evening and welcome to the 2018 primary election debate series sponsored by the Bexar County Democratic Party, live stream media, and our host, the Cadillac Bar. Tonight we introduce our candidates running for Bexar County Commissioner Precinct 2, and they will share their thoughts with us on some of the important issues that are facing the residents of Bexar County Precinct 2. Precinct 2 is comprised of San Antonio's West Side, the Great Northwest, and neighborhoods surrounding Beacon Hill. My name is Manuel Medina. I am chairman of the Bexar County Democratic Party and your moderator this evening. So here are the rules. We will begin with opening statements. Candidates, you will have 3 minutes to introduce yourself and your candidacy. Then we will have a total of 6 questions, where candidates will have 2 minutes to respond, and we ask everyone to refrain from interruptions or rebuttals. Then we will conclude the debate with closing remarks of 3 minutes. Those are the rules. So now, let's welcome our candidates running for County Commissioner Precinct 2. We have Incumbent County Commissioner Paul Elizondo. We have Challenger Queta Rodriguez. And we have Challenger Mario Bravo. So let us begin with our opening statements. We drew straws at the beginning to see the order of who goes first, second, and third. And drawing first, giving her opening statement, Queta Rodriguez.
Good evening. Thank you, everyone. As you just heard, my name is Queta Rodriguez, and I'm running for County Commissioner Precinct 2. I'm born and raised here in San Antonio. I grew up in the poorest zip code in the city. And I will tell you that the environment that I grew up in was not exactly conducive to success for many of the people around me. And it was very central to creating the type of person that I am. I graduated from Sidney Lanier High School. Thank you. And I can recall four other friends of mine that I went to elementary school with. I was the only one of the 5 of us that graduated from Lanier before becoming either a mom or a victim of some terrible circumstance. One of them is no longer with us. She was a victim of domestic violence. One of them succumbed to substance abuse issues. And the other 2 eventually did graduate, but not from high school the way I did. I went on to serve in the United States Marine Corps for 20 years. I enlisted as a private, and because of my strong work ethic and leadership ability, I was quickly promoted through the ranks. I eventually was selected for a very competitive commissioning program and was able to get my degree in government and politics from the University of Maryland, and eventually got my commission as an officer of Marines, and it was one of the greatest privileges of my life, getting to lead Marines and getting to mentor people and being able to set the example, to set the standard, and to ensure that I was setting them up for success as well in the future. I left the Marine Corps after 20 years as a captain And I was very comfortable that I had done everything in my power to set up those that I was leading for success in the future and for the future generations of Marines. I've spent the last 4 years working in county government, leading the Department of Veteran Services, transforming that from a completely antiquated and outdated office to one that is recognized as a model for the state of Texas today. And I did that by using transformative processes, being visionary, using technology, and thinking outside the box. Because of that, now we are actually able to bring in coordination with the partners that we have, collaborating together, we are bringing in over $1.2 billion directly into the pockets of veterans and their families today, significantly improving their quality of life. I am running today because we can do the exact same thing. Unfortunately, I came back to San Antonio and to the area where I grew up, and much of it is exactly the same as when I left. And that needs to change. And I know that change is scary for a lot of people, but there is nothing to be afraid of. Change is good. Progress is good. And I ask all of you, let me be the leader that I know. I have 25 years of leadership experience, and I can take us into the future. I want nothing more than to serve my community the way I've served my country. I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Our next candidate, 3-minute opening statement, Mario Bravo.
Good evening. My name is Mario Bravo. I grew up here in San Antonio. I attended all public schools here, and then I went to the University of Texas at Austin. I got my degree in history with a minor in mechanical engineering. And straight out of college, I started working on political campaigns. I worked for Democrats and I worked for progressive issues. One candidate in mind is in 2003, we had gone to war in Iraq, and George Bush took us to war over a lie about weapons of mass destruction. And I remember at that time thinking to myself, there's nothing more important that I could do as a young man living in the United States than to make sure that Bush did not get to serve as our president again, and that we elected a Democrat as our next president of the United States. And so I remember sitting on the couch with my mother watching the debates, and I saw Governor Howard Dean, and I remember listening to him being vocal against the war in Iraq, and I said, this is the candidate who we need to support. This is a candidate with backbone who can defeat George Bush. So I packed up all of my belongings into my little Volkswagen. I drove up to New Hampshire, and I worked 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, through a brutal New Hampshire winter to try to get our country back on track. So I worked on many campaigns, and then after years of doing that, I decided, I wanted to focus more on policy and less on the politics and campaign side of things. So I went to get my master's degree at the Lyndon B. Johnson School of Public Affairs. And after that, I started working for a nonprofit organization, the Environmental Defense Fund, where I work today. And so my job is to try to improve the air quality here in San Antonio and working to reduce our impact on climate change. So now I want to share my progressive vision that I want to bring to the Commissioner's Court. I want to focus on improving the health of our community. Everybody in this room either has diabetes or knows someone who does. In Bexar County, we have the highest rate of people in the country who have had an amputation because their diabetes is so bad. And that's because we're late to diagnose diabetes, we're late to give care. And so that's not good enough for me. I think we deserve better. I want to focus on improving the ethics at the county. If you compare the city to the county, at the city, you can only give a city council member $500 for every election cycle. You can give a commissioner, they regularly take campaign contributions of $5,000 or more. And we also don't, at the city, a city council member can only serve 8 years. The commissioners, the commissioner to my right, he's been there for 34 years. And so I want term limits. I want to protect our air and water quality, and I ask for your support in this race. The future starts with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. 3-minute opening statement by Commissioner Paul Elizondo.
Hello, Democrats, fellow Democrats. It's great to be in a room where people think the same way you do, when it comes to politics and good government. Thanks for being Democrats. I've worked real hard for the party many, many years, more than the years I've been in office, and I will continue to, and with your help, until I, finally decide that that's it. My mother lived to be 95 years old. My father lived to be 93, I guess 92, and then my great-grandfather lived to be, or my grandfather lived to be 97. I say that because some people have been talking about my health and that I can't finish another term. Well, I'm here to stay. I'm here to work. To those that say, they talk about the future is now. I've brought Bexar County from the 20th century into the 21st century. When there's a lot of accomplishments that I'd love for you to check my record. Check my record and check the buildings around here. See whose name is on them. And then find out I have done, and the thing is that as a Democrat, I have not seen my opponents around any campaign here for Democrats to elect people. I got a picture of me and 3 presidents in my office. Obama, you name them, they're there. The Clintons and everyone else. I didn't see my opponents around their campaigns here when they were coming. I didn't see anybody trying hard and working for candidates like Leticia Vandepute and others that we've elected in here that do a tremendous job. I have not seen my opponents around the Democrats. So if you're going to elect a Democratic candidate, hey, I'm here, I've been here, and I want to be the one that keeps going. I'm going to start ticking off some things that I've done just recently, okay? And if you're welcome to check them out, they're in the records of the county and everything else. We've had open government in the county for everyone to see what's going on constantly. And so that is a very important part of what we do. As the questions continue here, I'm going to bring out some of the things that we've accomplished and hope to continue to accomplish. And I particularly want to be able to be in office to finish the San Pedro Creek opening and the reopening of the Alameda and Lermas nightclub restoration. So those are just 3 of my projects, and a women and children's hospital.
Thank you. Now we will now begin with the first of 6 questions. The first to answer this will be Mario Bravo, and then Paul Elizondo, and then Queta, in that order. Question number 1. What is your number 1 priority, and what experience do you have to address this priority?
So my number 1 priority is to improve the health of the community. I described our diabetes situation. Bexar County also has the highest rate of children in the state how many minutes? 2 minutes. We have the highest rate of children in the state who have to go to the emergency room for asthma attacks. We have the highest rate of maternal mortality. We have the highest rate of infant mortality. And so in order to dedicate my commitment to improving the health of the community, a lot of people, when they run for office, they will ask somebody from a big political family to be their treasurer because they want to convey to everyone, look at the political backing I have. Instead, I went and asked a professor at UT Health San Antonio who focuses on community health to be my treasurer, and she's been advising me. I've been advised by the former state epidemiologist who teaches at the University Incarnate Word Medical School. I'm being advised by somebody who founded the Center for Medical Humanities and Ethics at UT Health San Antonio. And so I've been studying this issue. I've been very focused on it. And I have a plan for it, too, because if you read the Bexar County Health Collaborative's plan, or their health needs assessment that they performed for Bexar County, what they saw was that our biggest challenge to improving the health of Bexar County is our economic inequality. And so we need to go into these low-income zip codes and help people have every opportunity to meet their basic needs. So some people think that healthcare is only delivered at the hospital, right? But when you look at zip codes like 78207, that our lowest income zip code, for a lot of people, they don't have health care, they don't have health insurance. The first time they go see a doctor, it's in an ambulance ride to the emergency room. And by the time they get there, they're very sick, and that's the most expensive health care, and we all pay for it as county county taxpayers. And so the commissioner will tell you, oh, that that's society's problem. That's a social problem. He's not going to take responsibility for it. But I'm telling you that we're already paying for this issue. Let's pay for it the smart way, up front, help get people healthy so they don't end up in the hospital. Thank you.
Last time I took government civics 101, I heard very similar things being discussed. I don't know if you're running for county commissioner or you're running for a professorship somewhere. When it comes to the health of this community, I have done more than anyone in this room come into it. The diabetes center that is established in La Calle Sarsamona, and I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's a world-class place, and I'm the one that's responsible for it being bought and built. There's just number one. Number two, getting back to the question about the priority, as I stated earlier, is a women and children's hospital. I worked on the funding for that thing, finding the money and encouraging the board to do that. And also for the last improvements. I've put my career on the line for the health of this community. The Brady Green that used to be would not be here if I hadn't fought for it all those years. And look at it now. The investment of over $900 million that was put into the trauma tower and the downtown campus of the Green is fantastic, and it's a shining light in our community. We have a hospital district that is second to none in the state. It's the only one in the black. It's the only one that pays its own taxes. I mean, that does, and has its own money to do things. The rest of them are out in the state. The other thing that we have in this is one of the best hospitals according to in surveys in the United States. So my record on health and my progress in helping this community do great things, and I didn't even get into mental health, is very, very important. So taking something that was written by a reporter in the newspaper about his interpretation of what I said is not what I am. I'm about county government. That's what I am.
Get that?
My number one priority is to ensure that everybody, including those that live in Precinct 2, have access to the same economic prosperity than everybody else in Bexar County, and that does not exist today. Economic development in our precinct is lagging behind the other precincts. Take a look at Precinct 3. Take a look at Stone Oak. Take a look at some of the areas north. And now take a trip just on the other side of I-35 and tell me what you see in the heart of Precinct 2. Those issues, that's because of severe and concentrated poverty. And we can throw money at buildings, and we can put names on buildings, and we can do all kinds of things, but until you get to the root of the problem, you're never going to solve it. You have to get to the root cause of the problem. And the experience that I have is leadership. It's building coalitions. It's going out and being engaged with the people that we serve. I'm sorry, but I am a resident of Precinct 2, and I've never heard of a town hall. I've never received a newsletter. No one's ever asked me for my input on how my taxpayer dollars are spent. And so I want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to provide some input on where those tax dollars are spent. So again, we can go back to addressing the root causes of those problems. Because even though we have spent lots of money on healthcare, we still have the highest rates of diabetes. We still have high rates of crime. 78207 and 78237 still lead the list of the zip codes in this county that are the most distressed communities in the city. That's unacceptable. And we need leadership that it's going to go out and not just, again, put our name on things, but actually get out there and address the root causes. And I can do that with my leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We will now go to question number 2. Commissioner Elizondo will go first. What current and future transportation projects do you support for Bexar County?
Excuse me?
What current and future transportation projects do you support for Bexar County?
Okay, well, we can get into whether we're going to go into light rail. I want a multimodal system in this community. And as chair, the original chair of the Transportation Metropolitan Planning Organization that put together the plan for a multimodal system years ago and still is being fought and not implemented because we have not been able to coordinate the wants of the community. I believe in a much better bus system. We've been encouraging it. We've been trying to grow it. We're not conducting it. VIA is. But in the meantime, we need to change the way we transport. There's no reason why we can't have a train from, for example, from the multimodal center downtown there to go all the way to the hospital so that people can go back and forth to have transportation of that kind. We need fast, light. San Antonio is the largest city in the world with that only has a bus company. It doesn't have VIA should not be just a bus company. It should have a variety of ways of transportation. The days, whether we like it or not, the days of one Texan and one pickup truck are over. If we need people to pool, to do all of these innovative things that are actually not innovative, they're practical. We need to also, and if I go to my priority in records, 1604 and Bandera Road have grown tremendously. That's a big part of the precinct. It's not just one zip code, and it's not one just central part of the city. So we need to make sure that transportation, the waiting time, with all the bad things that come with idling cars and the parking lot on 1604 are addressed. I have changed to 4 lanes on 1604. We're going to improve Bandera Road. Those are the immediate transportation efforts that we need to improve. Thank you.
I agree with the commissioner on that. We do need a more modern system of transportation. And I remember us talking about this before I joined the Marine Corps 25 years ago. And, I've traveled around the world. I have traveled in many cities, and I've seen what modern transportation systems look like, and we need them. They're necessary because we need to be able to connect people to services, connect them to different communities so that we're not so segregated, which we are today. Now, I believe that, and the commissioner is right, we are having transportation problems out in 1604 and Bandera. Matter of fact, my brother moved out to Helotes, and he's facing tremendous issues out there. And the reason he moved out, because he could not stay in the inner city, because he wanted something better for his family. And no one can blame anybody for doing that. And make no mistake, this is not about just 2 zip codes. This is about all of us. Every single community faces its own unique challenges. But you won't know what those challenges are, and you can't address those challenges with those communities if you're not actively going out to those communities and asking them exactly what it is that they need. And this is what we're hearing on the ground, that is not happening. And, I just want to say that I sincerely appreciate anybody that goes into public service. I thank them very much. But there comes a time when if you are no longer able and willing to engage the people that you serve, then it is time. It's time for change. And it's time for us to have a modern transportation system that really was overdue long time ago. It's the reason that we're having issues with attracting some companies that aren't going to come here because we're not a modern city. We're not a modern county. And I understand that this is not just a county issue, but I expect that as a leader, we work together, we collaborate, we use our leadership influence to make sure that other people, other stakeholders are involved in the process so that we can create those solutions. Lastly, I'll say, I wish we really had put this much effort as we did into streetcars. Thank you.
The commissioner just said that he brought us into the 21st century. And then he complained that all we have for public transportation is one little bus company. And he admitted that 1604 is a parking lot. So welcome to Commissioner Elizondo's 21st century. And for me, as far as my position goes, I'm very interested in multimodal transportation. I will do everything I can to support multimodal transportation. And let me tell you that when I say that my number one issue is health, all of these issues overlap. They're all interconnected. If somebody doesn't have access to transportation, they might not go get to see their doctor. Or maybe they made it to see their doctor, but, or let's say they have a car, and they made it to see their doctor, but then the next month their car breaks down, and they can't go to fill their prescription. And because they didn't make it to fill their prescription, they end up in the emergency room. And then they're much sicker, and so public transportation is incredibly important for a 21st century city, and I will do everything I can to support it.
Thank you. We will now go to question number 3. Question number 3. Keta, you will go first. With regards to the university health system, what advancements or improvements would you like to see?
I think we have a great university health system. And I will thank the commissioner for his work in that area. But what improvements I would like to see is I would like to see expanded access. I would like to see clinics that are further out into the community, very similar to what the VA has right now. The Department of Veterans Affairs, South Texas Veterans Healthcare System may have some issues, but in my line of work, I talk to veterans every single day that use this healthcare system, and they have access to outpatient clinics all over the city, or in multiple areas of the city, especially in those areas that are underserved. And we have, again, some very underserved communities in Precinct 2. I believe that, again, just like Mario said, everything is connected. And so until we get to the root causes of the problems, we are not going to address the symptoms that we are seeing with healthcare, with poverty, with crime, with domestic violence, all of these things. Those are all drains on taxpayer dollars. I want us to stop putting Band-Aids on things and start addressing root causes of the problems. If we did more at younger ages, we wouldn't have the incidences of diabetes, and we wouldn't need to put so much money into the healthcare system that we have. And so I think that we can expand access by creating these outpatient clinics, and I think that we can make better use of our dollars by doing prevention. And I don't mean just, having a class when you're already been diagnosed with diabetes. I'm talking back at the very root cause when people are young and healthy, not waiting until they're sick. Thank you.
Mario?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. With regards to the university health system, what advancements or improvements would you like to see?
So, we have good county hospitals. The university health system is something to be proud of. What we're getting wrong, what we have, though, with the challenge is we still have very poor health outcomes. And so the way we address those is by going into these low-income zip codes and supporting the organizations that are already on the ground doing the work to get their communities healthy. So I'm talking about organizations like West End Hope in Action, the Madonna Center, the House of Neighborly Services. These organizations, they're in zip codes like 78207, the poorest zip code in the county. And they serve as the distribution site for the food bank for their community already. So they're trying to help people meet their basic nutrition needs. We need to go in there and, they're helping senior citizens who who are on fixed income, sign up for different services that they didn't know were available to them. And I've met with with leaders of these organizations, and I've asked them, what percentage of the community you serve has health insurance? And they say most of them don't. And then I'll ask them, well, what kind of support are you getting for the work that you do from the county? And they say, we're getting none. And so these organizations, they already have relationships with the people on the ground. They know what these people's needs are. They're working to try and help them meet these basic needs so that they can be healthy, so they don't end up at University Hospital. Because by the time they get there, they're very sick, and that's the most expensive healthcare, and we as the county taxpayers are paying for it. So we're doing it wrong. We need to invest in these organizations on the ground in the low-income zip codes. Thank you very much.
The Madonna Center, I'm glad it was brought up, was just on the budget for the county last Commissioners Court meeting, and we made an allocation to help Madonna. I would welcome everyone to talk to the executive head of that and Roger and ask him what the county has done for them over the years. The county has had, during my watch, we established a clinic on 36th Street and Highway 90. We established, we made sure and fought to make sure that the Central Hospital was improved. We even raised taxes on the hospital district. We had the guts to do that, to make sure that the hospital itself was updated and that the Robert B. Greene rose like a phoenix out of the dust there after what the county did for it. We are established mental health clinics all over the place, helped them. And all of these things that were referred to, these agencies like Barrio Betterment and Barrio Healthcare and all those are helped by the county. They have contracts with the hospital district. Instead of building a clinic or that, we have these publicly funded, federally funded clinics that are there. And what we've come up with was a collaboration with those clinics to find out, to help them do what they do. One of my biggest supporters is Dr. Ernesto Gomez. He is the head of all that network. Right here, one of the board members of the, and they keep changing the names of these, formerly Barrio Betterment, is here, Mr. Gonzalez, Roberto Gonzalez. And we have collaborated with them, and they have done a great job of helping the county hospital provide the health care without duplicating the cost. We've got a great health system. Of course it could be done. And of course some of the things that have been referred to deal with education in the schools. And you know, they have nothing to do with what the county is doing. The problem are societal. The county's trying to deal with the results of it. That's the function of a county.
Thank you. We will now go to question number 4. Mario, you'll go first. Here's the question. What are your solutions or strategies to address generational poverty on the West Side?
So first of all, I believe that if you're going to be a leader in this community, you don't look at a problem and say, that's not in my jurisdiction. You don't say, that's not in my job description. When you're a leader in this community and you see a problem, you rise to the occasion and you do whatever it takes to support your community, to help build them up to where they need to be. As far as generational poverty, Commissioner Tommy Calvert said all that needed to be said earlier today. He was very critical of the commissioners and what they're doing. And a big thing that we need to do is help people to become homeowners. When people become homeowners, that's the best way for them to build wealth. And that's long term. But we need to help everyone meet their basic needs, because they're not going to get to where they need to be. They're never going to get ahead if they can't meet their basic needs. And so that's where all of these issues overlap again. And so going in and supporting these organizations that Commissioner Elizondo says he already supports. If you go, I invite you all to go visit the Madonna Center. Walk into that building. You're going to think you're in a support center that's somewhere in the third world. I mean, don't tell me they have money. I went to the West End Hope in Action meeting. I think maybe it was in October, maybe a month before Thanksgiving. I remember hearing them list out that they gave the treasurer's report. I think they had $375 in the bank account. And it wasn't, oh no, we only have $375. It was like, all right, we've got some money in the bank. I mean, these are the kind of shoestring budgets that some of these organizations are working with. And they have the relationship with their community They're doing the work on the ground. We need to support them more to lift our community up. Thank you very much.
Commissioner. Repeat the question? Okay. What are your strategies or solutions to address generational poverty in the West Side?
Insofar as generational poverty, the main thing is to do economic development in the community in one way or another. Some of us in this room, and I don't think my opponents were around, helped bring Toyota to San Antonio, helped do other things like that, like keeping the Spurs in San Antonio and building an arena and working with coordinating with the hospital district and the healthcare industry, which is the largest one, the largest industry in San Antonio next to USA 8. Those are our big employers. And so the generational poverty is something that is constantly worked on. I have been a leader. I have taught at Lanier, I have taught at Edgewood, I have taught at Memorial, I have taught in schools. I have taught the kids of this community, of that so-called impoverished area, for 18 years. I did that, and then I went to represent them in the legislature to try to get more money for the schools here in San Antonio, and I succeeded. Then, as commissioner, so don't tell me about public service and leadership and dedication, because I gave my time to the community. Instead of being, it's funny to hear someone that has just been in town 6 months that already knows all the solutions to county problems. Now, the main thing about generational opportunity, generational poverty, is to give opportunity to people. I have changed the minimum wage at the county. Right, and I raised it for years, and even with the people that are contracting to work at the county, like the contract cleaning service that we have. Now the county and the city always follows us on that respect. So the whole idea is to make San Antonio's not a third world hovel. It's a great city, but it is very, very true. It's been said by many people that there is a separation of the haves and the have-nots. But that's in the United States, by the way. And I think I expired my time.
Thank you.
I have, like I said earlier today, I left 25 years ago. And you're right, I may not have been here to work on these solutions because I was out serving my country for the last 20 years. But I returned. I returned. And unfortunately, despite Toyota having been out there while I was gone, unfortunately, we still have the same level of poverty in the near West Side as we had when I left 25 years ago. So clearly these solutions aren't working. Now, it's a complex issue, don't get me wrong. I don't expect any one person to solve this problem. But we can solve these problems, and economic development is the way to go. But look at Precinct 2. Have we had the same level of economic development as other precincts in the county? The answer is no. People have to as a matter of fact, we've lost jobs. People have to travel outside of Precinct 2 to go find work. And isn't that difficult to do when you don't have transportation? Absolutely. And so, the way to solve these problems is to do something different, because what's been done is not working. And so we need new ideas, new perspectives, new relationships, new collaboration, new cooperation with other stakeholders in the community. And maybe it's going out and looking at concepts like community schools, something that's been talked about but never tried here in San Antonio. Maybe it's taking a look at models outside of the city and using a different perspective in models that have worked in other cities that are not as segregated as we are. that using something different. Clearly what we've been doing is not working because it's still the same as it was 25 years ago and actually 40 or 50 years ago. So I believe that we can do more with active and engaged leadership, which is what I bring to the table. I am a consensus builder. I don't do things for credit because it's not about credit. It's about getting the job done and being with the people that you serve. Period.
Okay, we will go now to question number 5. Commissioner Elizondo, you will go first. What is the county doing to help veterans, and what else could it be doing to help more veterans?
The county is launching now under the leadership of Kevin Wolf, the Commissioner of Precinct 3, a Navy veteran. I also, by the way, I served my country. I served in the United States Marine Corps. I'm a Vietnam era veteran. If you check your records, and but it's not about what you did while you were away. This is what you did when you're here. And what I've done, I've been a businessman. I've been a tax-paying businessman here in this community. When I had my business and my music business, the orchestra business, I employed 11 and 12 people on a constant basis and had a very successful business and also paid quite a few taxes. So the thing about moving forward here with economic development and all of these other things that have been mentioned and brought up, those are problems that are going to be here when all of us are gone and dead and gone, but we were working on them. While we're here, we need to do as much as we can. The county has an outstanding record. The county has an outstanding record in working in areas that need improvement. And under the last 10 years, especially under Nelson Wolf, 16 years actually, we've made a tremendous amount of progress. Why are people moving to San Antonio? Why are they? If this is such a bad place, why are we the fastest growing city in Texas? Why? Well, besides Austin, and by the way, that's where one of the opponents comes from, insofar as the working world. So the whole idea in building the future here in San Antonio is to pick up on what you got and move forward. And this is something that we have always done. This is what makes me. That's what makes me breathe, and this is what I need to do. This is public service. Nobody at this table here knows more about county government than I do and how to make things work. And the easiest thing, mention was made of another commissioner. I tell you one thing. If you want to know who the leader is on the court, ask Nelson Wolf, ask Chico Rodriguez, ask Kevin Wolf, and that'll be your answer.
First of all, I want to thank the commissioner for his service, and I want to thank all the veterans in this room for your service to our country. We sincerely appreciate it. I believe the question was, what can we do better for veteran service? Is that correct? Okay. And I don't think that question was answered, but I'm going to answer it for you. As you have heard, I've been leading our Veteran Service Office for the last 4 years, since I retired from the Marine Corps shortly thereafter. And I was selected for that program through a highly selective, independent panel or competitive process. And I was given the confidence by it being ratified and being appointed by the Commissioner's Court. And I thank them for always acknowledging what a great job I've done. We have transformed that office from one that was completely outdated, that was using things that were just completely, we had chaos in that office, as a matter of fact, and it's one of the reasons that I was selected was to come in and fix it, and I did. And today, Today, this office, the Veteran Service Office is the model for the state of Texas. We have created partnerships because, as you know, we're limited. We've got constrained resources at the county, and I understand that we need to do the most of what we've got. And I'm a Marine. I'm used to doing more with less. I'm always going to give you more bang for your buck. But I was able to, and I'm working within county government, making sure, fighting for my budget. Fighting. And I will tell you, of all the commissioners on the court, there was one that I spoke to only once in the last 4 years that I've been here. And unfortunately, sitting right next to me. I've worked with every single other commissioner to get where we're going. I've been working with Commissioner Kevin Wolf to improve services to our veterans, but it wasn't until our office was directly beneath the commissioner's court that we've been able to actually get the things that I've been asking for the last 4 years. So, and now, as a result of my work, over $1.2 billion is coming into the economy because we've created strong partnerships with those other agencies, not just us, but all the other veteran service organizations. So thank you to our veterans. We salute you.
Okay, it's now Mario Bravo's turn to answer.
So Commissioner Elizondo, many years ago, was a teacher. And I have the utmost respect for teachers. Teachers are public servants. But he hasn't been a teacher for a long time. Now he's turned into a career politician. And just 2 days ago, he was listed in the newspaper bragging about all the political scalps he has. And those are not the words of a public servant. You know, those are the words of a political bully. Those are the words of a political bully.
Let's hold on a second, y'all. Let's hold on a second. Mario, please finish.
Who attacks those with dissenting views. And that's not the kind of democracy we need here. That's not the kind of county government we need here. So, on to veterans. There's a veteran here in the room tonight, my campaign manager, Gene Vela. Now, Gene served in the Marines, and we went to graduate school together. He has his master's degree also from the Lyndon B. Johnson School of Public Affairs. And Gene, when he found out I was running, he dropped what he was doing and he moved to San Antonio to support me, and he works on my campaign for free, full time. He offers a lot to my campaign, and I want to say thank you, Gene. And I have learned some about what I need to do for veterans through Gene's life experience. When we were at the LBJ School of Public Affairs, Gene had PTSD, and he had asked for help. He went to the government and he asked for help, and they let him down. And which resulted in a meltdown one day when we were in grad school, and he ended up being shot by the police. And he served about 180 days in jail waiting for trial. He was found not guilty. And I was there for him. I supported him in the process. But he served our country. Our country let him down. And we're here in Military City, USA. I will not say that's not my job. When our country lets our veterans down, I will make sure that we are providing the services they need while they are waiting for the federal government to give them what they've asked for and what they deserve, what they earned. Thank you.
Okay. We will now go to question number 6. Keta, you will answer first. And as chairman of the Democratic Party, I think this is going to be my favorite question. Why are you a Democrat? And what will you do to help elect Democrats in November?
I'm a Democrat. First off, I was born and raised as a Democrat. But I'll be quite frank, a lot of my fellow veterans leave the Democratic Party. And it's because they believe that the Democratic Party is not there for them. I know that that's not true. I, as a United States Marine, was sworn to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And that Constitution guarantees certain inalienable rights to all of our citizens. I am a Democrat because I believe in equality. I believe in inclusion. I believe that everybody, no matter what color you are, what religion you are, what race you are, what nationality you are, what your sexual preference is, what your gender identity is, everybody deserves equal opportunity to pursue the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's why I'm a Democrat, because I was sworn to uphold the values, the American values that we hold so dear to our heart. Obviously, a lot of that comes from my upbringing. I had two amazing parents who have done so much for this community. And let me be clear, my parents are not running. I'm running. I have my own mind. And I will tell you though, that because of that upbringing, I know that where you come from, that you never forget where you come from. I never have. And I will never forget or leave behind. Just like I never left behind a Marine, I will never leave behind any resident or any area of our precinct. That's why I'm a Democrat. Thank you.
Mario?
Let me tell you, being a Democrat doesn't mean just showing up at Democratic functions. It doesn't mean just donating to other Democratic campaigns. It means that your values and your votes reflect that of values of Democrats. And I'm not just a Democrat. I'm a progressive Democrat. I've taken a position on protecting our air and water quality, and I've taken a position on reducing our impact on climate change. I've taken a public position on protecting the basic rights of all human beings, including undocumented immigrants. I've taken a position on ending our relationship with private for-profit prisons. We should not be doing business with private for-profit prisons. We should not be taking campaign contributions from private for-profit prisons, and we should not have economic incentives to put more people in jail. Because who are we putting in jail? We're putting in low-income people in jail. You know, one of the questions earlier was, how do you get people out of generational poverty? Well, you don't get people out of generational poverty when you take them for some small crime and you throw them in jail and you keep the bail so high that they can't get out and they get evicted from their house and their car gets towed and they lose their car and no one's there to support their family. That is not helping people with generational poverty. And I have also taken a position on instituting campaign contribution limits, because we have no campaign contribution limits, and I don't want big money influencing our commissioner's court. I also am asking for term limits, because if you're there, experience is great. It's good, you know, to have experience and to carry on institutional knowledge, but when you're there too long, you start to develop better relationships with the donors and losing touch with your community. So I'm not just a Democrat. I am a progressive Democrat, and I will take progressive stances on the issues.
In my thanks to you who have given me the opportunity for public service all these years, I've been able to appoint more Democratic judges whenever the Commissioner Court gets to appoint judges. I've appointed more women, and those are the reasons that I am a Democrat. Why am I a Democrat? I've been one since all my life. I grew up downtown here on the calle San Saba. I grew up there, and I taught school on the west side, and I worked. I've been a Democrat all my life. I'm a Democrat because I see around me people who hold the same values that I do. People that care about gente. They care about what happens to children. They care. Those are the priorities, not money, not all of these other economic aggrandizements and beautiful neighborhoods and all of that, but about family, about people. Those are the things that we hold true and dear in our life. And I see that. When I see Donald Trump, I don't see somebody that values the same things that I do. When I had my candidates that we worked with all these years, John F. Kennedy and all of these people, Lyndon Johnson. By the way, I've worked with some of these people over the years. those are the people that are precious in the view of what this nation should stand for. And so I will work to elect more Democrats. One thing that I know, I have redistricted Precinct 2. When I became Precinct 2 Commissioner, it was a 50-50 Republican and Democrat precinct. I have redistricted that precinct 3 times. It's still a Democratic precinct, 60-40, and it will be, and in 10 years, in the next biennial census, it will be redistricted to be there. And the reason you have 4 Democrat commissioners on Commissioner's Court, which is what you had when I came here, and is because I've redistricted Precinct 4 and Precinct 2 to make it a Democrat precinct. I'm a Democrat for life.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you. Now, we will go to closing statements. As determined earlier, Commissioner Elizondo, you will give your closing statement first.
You know, it's nice to hear all of the things that were said here today, and I welcome the scrutiny of my record on Commissioner's Court. All of us have views about what government should do, and I don't remember anyone being appointed to, number 1, determine what my health is. Number 2, to determine what I did and haven't done in my job. The reason I know that is because the people have returned me to this job all of these years because I've done the best that I can. And, you know, there's all sorts of things that we haven't spoken about. Jail diversion, all of these programs that we have. Bexar County is not backward. It's in forward insofar as some of the programs and innovations we have with veterans courts, all sorts of other courts, and jail diversion programs and so forth. We just have a lot of crime in this community because there's 1.8 million people in here. And then that brings in crime. So that's not my fault that we have crime, and we have to work on to the best we can, but we want to keep people out of jail. Jail diversion, mental health, people do not belong in jail. I've been the first one to point that out, that Bexar County had the largest health hospital, mental health hospital in the county, so in the country, in the state. We need to keep working with democratic values. I think my record, I welcome everyone to look at my record and look at it, and especially in comparison to some of the people that I hear that just want to be. You know, there's one thing, there's an old Spanish saying, and that is, hechos, no dichos. I've done the work, I've walked the walk, I've done the things, and that is deeds, not words. And so, you know, it's very nice to film together an argument or talk about how great this country is and American pie and all this kind of stuff and what government should be and how we aspire. The thing is that I've been doing this work. I love this work. This work is me. You know, the future is here. The future is now. And then the thing is, you know, public service is timeless. It's not time. It's timeless. And nobody that all of a sudden comes in here, hasn't been in town all these years, you know, no matter what the reason they were away, all of a sudden can decide to step in and run this county and do the things that I know that I'm capable of doing. And I thank you for the opportunity, and God bless Bexar County.
Okay. Mario Bravo. Okay. We will now have Mario Bravo, 3 minutes, closing remarks.
You know, in the last question that was asked, it was, what makes us a Democrat? And the commissioner had to compare himself to Donald Trump to make himself look good. I don't know what to say about that. I want to raise the bar for what it means to be a Democrat and a public servant in our community. You know, you don't get to say that I'm the most powerful commissioner, and then when somebody points out a problem, you don't get to say it's not my fault. I'm not going to be an it's not my fault commissioner. You know, I went to the Lyndon B. Johnson School of Public Affairs and got my master's degree to find out what are the best ways to get to a solution? And that's what I want to bring to the table. I've been a progressive Democrat my entire life. I've worked hard my entire life, and I want to bring my hard work ethic and my progressive values to our community. I'm submitting myself as a candidate here. I have a lot more ideas. I actually wish we were here all night because I have so many ideas that I want to share with you about my vision. I want to invite everybody to go visit my website. I have 15 issues there that I want to share with you. I want to ask you if you're looking for a progressive future here in Bexar County and you think we can do better, please follow me on my Facebook page, like my Facebook page, ask your friends to like it as well so we can share my message. I want to get this message out of a more progressive future, bringing ethics, shining a light on the Commissioner's Court. I think we can do better. I know I can do better. I ask for your support. The future starts with us.
I want to start by saying that I really sincerely thank the Commissioner for his service to the community. And I know that the Commissioner was not born a Commissioner. He started somewhere. And unfortunately, no public office should be for life. No position. There's a reason that we have term limits. This is the reason that we have some of the issues that we have at our federal level. We have such hyperpartisanship. We talk about power. We understand that there's power here. But what is this really about? Is this about maintaining power, or is this about doing what's best for our community, all of our community? I completely understand that some people are afraid of change. But as I said earlier, there is nothing to be afraid of. This community has produced many outstanding leaders, not just the Commissioner, many outstanding leaders who have in their heart the desire and the capacity and the competence to serve the community just as well. The Commissioner said that, he's elected a lot of women, helped elect a lot of women. Unfortunately, that's not one woman on this court. That's an issue. And I've said before, I would never ask you to vote for me because I'm a woman or because I'm a Latina. But I will tell you that I am a competent and capable leader whose heart is in the right place, who has the desire, has the capacity, who has the leadership skills to lead our precinct and to ensure that every single person in our community has the same opportunity as everybody else. I want the West Side to look like what's happening in Brook City Base. I want the West Side to look like what's happening at the Pearl. I want the West Side to be like, to people to have a place where they can work, where they're comfortable, where their kids are going to school, where their communities are safe, where they have basic infrastructure. We can do more. We can do much better. And I am not saying that the Commissioner has not done something, because he has. I will give him that credit. But we can do more. We can do better. And it takes new ideas and fresh leadership, new perspectives, and working closely with all of our partners. Certainly, over all these years, we could have worked with all the multiple people on city council to do much better for infrastructure, for housing, and the environment. What do we have in Precinct 2? We don't have a Toyota. We don't have a Pearl. We have a jail. We have areas that are severely distressed. I know that we can do better, and it's not just 2 precincts. Drive all the way up 410, not just 2 zip codes. Drive all the way up Culebra, Bandera, San Pedro. A lot of these areas are having the same exact problems that they were having when I left 25 years ago. And so I'm going to tell you that, with all due respect, every single one of us, it doesn't matter if we win, when I win this election, I will represent all of you. I will represent all of you. I humbly ask for your support because at the end of the day, it's not about supporting a person. It's about doing what's best and what's right for the community. We need active and engaged leadership that is going to be out there talking to the people. And as I've walked the streets over and over and over these last couple of months, what I keep hearing is, we don't know what's going on in Commissioner's Court. We don't have someone who's engaged with us. And so that's what I bring to you. I bring active and engaged leadership. It's together, we can do more. It's time. It's time for change.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Democrats in the House, we've come to the end of the debate. Let's hear it. Let's give a round of applause to all our candidates. Our Democratic nominee for County Commissioner Precinct 2. We can do better than that. Round of applause for all our candidates. Bear Democrats won all 25 countywide elections last election cycle. We won everything because we recruited more volunteers than ever, registered more voters than ever, and raised more money than ever. When I say we, I mean all of us. I mean the Northwest Democrats. I mean the Northeast Democrats, the Mission Democrats, the Tejano Democrats, the Mexican American Democrats, the Bexar County Democratic Women, the African American Political Alliance. I mean all of us. Together, we came together and won everything. Like never before. Candidates and activists volunteered and participated like never before. Precinct chairs got out the vote. Election judges protected the vote like never before. This year, we plan to win everything again. But by bigger margins. Bigger margins so we not only elect our local Democrats, but we also elect Democrats to CD 21, Congressional District 23, and Beto O'Rourke to the United States Senate. By sending more Democrats to Washington, ladies and gentlemen, we will stop Donald Trump, and that's our #1 priority at the Bexar County Democratic Party. But we need your help. Thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for tuning in on Facebook. Now we need you. Now we need you to volunteer. We need you to go to beardemocrat.org and sign up to volunteer because we need you. Let's thank our candidates one more time. Let's thank our sponsor, the Bexar County Democratic Party, Live Stream Media, and our host, the Cadillac Bar. And one more announcement before I go. We have a Democratic Party candidates endorsement event on Wednesday the 31st. That is the Tejano Democrats SD19 on Wednesday the 31st, 6:30 at Luby's. For now, God bless you. Thank you for coming. Y que viva los demócratas de San Antonio y el condado de Bexar County.